We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
With a little over a month away and no opponent announced and Mike Tyson fighting on that date, Canelo Alvarez's September 12th return is looking very unlikely. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I had to make this video. I told you I was going to follow up with this case. Canelo Alvarez, I'm on his verified page. As you guys can see, he put that he's the face of boxing. The unfortunate thing is Mr. Face of Boxing has not announced his opponent. Canelo Alvarez had an opportunity to beat Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, historically, since he'd been Money Mayweather and beat Oscar De La Hoya, he was fighting on the quote-unquote Mexican days. That's Cinco de Mayo weekend and also Mexican Independence Day. And Canelo had the opportunity to fight Floyd Mayweather, which he recently did an interview, whatever reason, I don't know. But he recently did an interview saying that this is how he became the pound for pound. The loss motivated him. It's kind of random to bring up since the first fight happened in 2013. But needless to say, Canelo has learned from it and he's become popular, even after defeat. And that's his sole loss, even though some people would contest that he really should have had other losses to guys like Golovkin and Erislandy Lara, probably the biggest two that come up. But nonetheless, Canelo, he says he's the face of boxing. Simple Google search shows you that how many days until September 12th? 34 days. This man has a little over a month. And that's just till the actual Saturday. But you have to understand, when we're talking about September 12th, that's the actual fight date, not including, fight week, which could start Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe they'll do a virtual press conference, stuff like that. That's the actual Saturday. So it's really less than that. And time is just ticking and dwindling down. Canelo hasn't announced it. It looks like there's trouble in paradise. Canelo doesn't seem to be on great terms with Golden Boy. The same thing with Canelo's teammate, stablemate, Ryan Garcia. He's supposed to fight Luke Campbell the 4th of July week. They were given a 48-hour extension. It's well into August, the first week of August. Still haven't heard about Ryan Garcia's fight. Canelo has a month away to his fight week, and we still heard nothing. So to me, like I've been saying on my channel, it's very unlikely that Canelo Alvarez is going to fight on that particular date. I think there's inherent problems, and it just looks sloppy, messy, disorganized, and the DAZN curse continues. Like I said, I dare Canelo, Golden Boy, and DAZN to go up against Mike Tyson, who's also fighting on that date. Mike Tyson, he's been retired for 15 years, I believe it is, but he announced that he was coming back. And he's fighting an exhibition. And it's just sad for Canelo that I've always given Canelo credit in the areas I think he deserves credit. He's a tremendous fighter. He's very disciplined. He has learned since the Mayweather loss. But real is real. And the way Canelo's being handled right now is appalling and shocking. Again, his bio says he's the face of boxing. And for the second consecutive September, it looks like he will not be able to fulfill the date. Not that somebody else put forth, but that Canelo Alvarez said he wanted. Canelo had multiple chances to overtake the Mexican dates. The first being when he fought Floyd in 2013. If he would have beat him, it would have been the passing of the torch, similar to De La Hoya getting the cash cow label after he beat Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., or when Mayweather beat De La Hoya, he inherited the Golden Boy and the cash cow and, became the face of boxing. Canelo had that same opportunity coming off the Austin Trout performance, undefeated, bigger than Floyd. Some people thought he could beat Floyd. He was the one that was supposed to beat Floyd, young and 13 years younger, etc. And he came up mad short. And he's posting pictures like this, golfing which is, I guess it says golf is my rehab. They said he started golfing 8 months ago. And that's cool. You know, it's recreation, but his business isn't being taken care of. And if I was Canelo Alvarez, I would also be pissed because I feel like some promoters aren't really equipped to deal with the fighter once they reach a certain level of stardom and a threshold. I feel like most fighters probably don't even need a promoter, or you're going to have to reroute and rework the logistics of your contract, because it's like this just makes Canelo look bad if he doesn't fight September 12th. He requested the date and begged for the date, and now you have it. And for the 2nd September, you and your team don't look like you'll be able to deliver. And it's just sad. Like, how do you let two 50-plus-year-olds, 54 and 51-year-old, Mike Tyson, hey, it's me, Mike Tyson, I'm so elated, I'm ecstatic, you know, and Roy Jones come out of nowhere with an exhibition that knocks you off course. And I think Top Rank has a card, but, you know, that's not quite as big and as American as the Mike Tyson fight, because Mike Tyson is of my generation, he's the most renowned heavyweight, like where everybody knew he had his own video game. Mike Tyson represented such big business. Same thing with Roy Jones. He's one of the legendary greats of my generation. You know, these were my favorite fighters, still are, you know, they're still in that list. And Canelo is supposed to be the current face of boxing, and he's getting bumped out by an exhibition. It's just sloppy business. Canelo's lawyer said that DAZN's trying to ask for a pay cut, which is weird too, because when he first got signed to DAZN, they said he had guaranteed money. So that can't be true if they're asking for a pay cut. And, you know, that's kind of DAZN's bad. Why would you offer somebody this? Like, I understand you didn't account for the pandemic. There's no way anyone would have necessarily known about the pandemic, but that's why you have to write these things out explicitly, that you have some type of protection or coverage in the event of unforeseen circumstances. So it doesn't look like DAZN was really smart in their approach with their business, because they got a lot of guys tied up, hogging the pot and taking up a lot of money and depleting any positive gains that they're probably achieving from soccer or overseas and in other markets abroad. And you got guys like Canelo. I mean, to his credit, if you promised him 36.5 million per fight, why would he want to fight, crowd or no crowd? Why would he want to take less than that when his contract says that's what he's getting? I mean, can you imagine if you went to a job and then you signed up and you've been working for that job and they've been paying you no problem $15 an hour, and then all of a sudden they say, we want you to do the same job, you know, come on time and the same like routine, but we don't want to give you 15 an hour. You know, you'd be like, huh? So I can't even blame Canelo on that. That's really something that DAZN got to figure out. But to me, if DAZN was my business and I was Lynn Blavnik, then this wouldn't have been nothing to figure out, because Canelo, he wouldn't have been just getting a guaranteed flat fee of something that extreme. You know, you're overpaying per the market rate. Like, there's no way Canelo in some of his lesser fights was making that on HBO, and HBO has like other programming that's popular amongst Americans, like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So they had a built-in fan base of fans that had access to their product. You know, they had been in sports and boxing for like 45 years, something ridiculous. So I think DAZN overstated and underestimated the power of the built-in fan base and the name brand and the value propositions that came with HBO as an entity being in boxing. They thought Canelo was such a star where he could not promote the fight like he typically doesn't. And what I mean by promote is go above and beyond, like Broners, Conor McGregor, Floyd, where he's actually a showman. The Charlo brothers are, look at Charlo Harrison, you know, crazy, fun, you know, dramatic press conferences and stuff like that and weigh-ins. Canelo, he's very mature. He's always been this way. He doesn't really give you any of that. So that's something you have to factor, because I understand boxing in its purest form and stuff like that, but the current landscape in the marketplace, there's some differences. You can have a Ryan Garcia who he just bubbles because of the presence of social media and the presence he has, where, you know, things click. He resonates with people. People aren't necessarily checking for, oh, what belt does he have? You see what I'm saying? Hardcore fans might, but the casuals that he's able to lure in with these gym videos is different. That's the age we live in. You know what I mean? Canelo doesn't really give you that angle. So you're paying him $40 million or close to just by himself. And the bad side with Canelo in September 12th is, who wants to watch a fighter as good as Canelo fight somebody and they get last minute notice? Like, even let's say hypothetically they keep that date intact. How much time did the opponent really have to train? Because there's a difference between training specifically for, like, in a dedicated camp, like a full camp, versus, hey, you're on standby kind of train. Because some fighters don't have the resources to just fly in sparring partner. Like, you have to be making some real type of money to be flying in like Canelo clone guys that are going to mimic Canelo's style and his size and stuff like that. And you don't want to invest fully in all the resources that it would take to get job specific sparring and, you know, nutrition down pat, and then Canelo doesn't pick you. So it's laughable how Golden Boy, DAZN, and Canelo are managing his fights, because this, on top of Canelo already being a good fighter, the stipulations in weight, last minute notice, like he did to Kovalev, like he allegedly tried to do to Caleb Plant. I mean, it's laughable. You're like trying to catch people slipping. A person, like, why is it that guys can't get a full camp in with Canelo? You know, they only got to get 4 to 6 weeks training and all this stuff like that. And that whole like old school mentality, that stuff is dead. It's new media. I told you, we control the narrative. It's a changing of the old guard. Some people are under this like mantra and this theme that, oh, you know, bow down to Canelo or whoever is the cash cow, and it's an opportunity. So if you beat him, you know, take short money up front to fight him, and then if you beat him, then you'll make more money in the back end. But that's in a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world, because the reality in the boxing world we live in, there's fighters that arguably have beaten Canelo, but the judges allegedly didn't see that. They seen it wide for Canelo. So you have to factor in these things. So imagine taking short money and not getting paid what you really should be worth. And now you have no belt, or you have a blemish on your record just because 3 judges heavily shaded the fight towards Canelo, i.e. the Lada fight. Levi Martinez had to fight 117 to 111. Like, what fight was he watching? You know, the Golovkin fight. Adelaide Bird had to fight like Canelo winning 10 rounds and Triple G only winning 2. And I'm talking about the first one. So it gets ridiculous. So why would people just, you know, Caleb Smith or Billy Joe Saunders or whoever just take short money up front and get robbed and get peanuts? And then when you don't knock Canelo out, or it goes to the cards, then you're guaranteed to lose. That's just the odds that are against you. So at least pick your poison and take the opportunity, knowing that if you don't have a dominant performance, that you're probably not going to beat Canelo on the scorecards. But at least you got paid for it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to having little time to prepare, getting peanuts and not paid properly. And on top of that, judges that are always going to favor Canelo. Like the Floyd Mayweather fight was probably one of the most ridiculous ones, because Floyd dog walked Canelo, and CJ Ross seen the fight for Canelo having a draw. And there's no way he had a draw. Anybody who's reasonable, who, you know, went to judge school or just watches boxing, knows Canelo didn't come close to getting a draw with Mayweather. You know, but they still try to force the issue. So that's what you're up against when you fight the guy that is you're brought in to lose against, especially at the height of Canelo. This is one of Golden Boy's last flagship fighters that generates a lot of money. So you got to bet your bottom dollar that, you know, there could be things that are put against you, late notice and all this stuff. Billy Joe Saunders recently did an interview and said he spoke with Sergey Derevyanchenko and he was offered less than half of what he got to fight Triple G. How does this happen? Canelo Alvarez on his page, he just said that he's the face of boxing. So how do you fight a guy that Canelo beat? You know, in some people's mind, Canelo won both of the fights, right? In some people's mind, right? But he definitely won the second fight. How do you fight a Canelo and Golden Boy and Canelo are paying you less than what Eddie Hearn and Tom Loeffler are paying guys like Derevyanchenko to fight Triple G? That's weird, and it doesn't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason. So, you know, it's a bad look for a couple of things. If certain fights don't happen, if dates get moved, if Ryan Garcia doesn't fight Luke Campbell, if Canelo moves off the date, if Teofimo Loma doesn't happen, this is all stuff that hurts boxing. It hurts boxing in a major way. And, you know, I'm just the realest one to tell you what's going on in boxing. And it's sad that Canelo, I think what makes me sad about the whole Canelo situation is I genuinely like the dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's a bad person. You know what I mean? I've covered his fights. I went to the media day or the press tour stop in Linwood with Julio Cesar Chavez. I think he's a good dude, family man, you know, came from poverty, Guadalajara, and made something out of his life. So I respect the journey, but the business is looking ugly. When did Floyd Mayweather ever look like Canelo? And I'm not even talking about in the ring because, you know, that goes without saying. I'm talking about the business side of stuff where Canelo keeps getting pushed off his date and 50-year-olds like Mike Tyson come and push him off his spot. In fact, it's usually the contrary. Floyd Mayweather, he announced that he's fighting McGregor after Cotto and Kamagai already had that date. But guess what? Floyd being the star that he is and Conor being the star that he is, them combined, they weren't worried about a legend in Miguel Cotto fighting Kamagai on the same day, because there is no combat sport or event that supersedes a Floyd fight. The UFC, they don't put their biggest fights going head up with Floyd, but now Canelo, based on the actions and the movement of his team and Golden Boy and DAZN, they keep putting him in these positions that got him looking bad, moving off of dates, the business. How do you not have Canelo's fight and he wants to fight 2 specific months? Okay, he couldn't fight this Cinco de Mayo because of the pandemic, whatever. But he failed a drug test in another Cinco de Mayo in 2018. So that's 2. So that's 2 Cinco de Mayos that he said he wanted that he couldn't fulfill. And then if he does not fight in 34 days, September 12th, this will be the second September, Mexican Independence Day weekend that he's had to come up off. Last time his team couldn't get a Kovalev fight across the line. Then they switched with little time to prepare to fight their mandatory, who they should have been trying to fight before Kovalev, because the Kovalev fight, no one told you to go to 175, and they did none of this. So all in all, it's a bad look. 2 Cinco de Mayos, and then if you don't fight this September, this will be the second consecutive date that you had to come off, but it'll be the second consecutive September as well. You had to come up off May for the pandemic, and now you had to come up off September. It just looks horrible, bro. It looks horrible. You're supposed to be the face of boxing. You put that in your bio, and this is how you're moving. You can't get a fight. Like, it just is a bad. I feel like Canelo, he'd be better off with Canelo Promotions and a free agent or something. You know what I mean? If Golden Boy and DAZN can't give you, the money is cool. DAZN's cashing him out. But look what's happening to his legacy. And then you wonder why Mexican legends like Eric Morales and Nacho Beristain and Juan Manuel Marquez have had critiques about Canelo's opponents, saying he's fighting older guys, deteriorating. It's always seems to be something. Always. catching Kovalev with a quick turnaround. Even if he fights September 12th, how much time did his opponent have to train? See, the thing is, people like myself, we know Canelo's a great fighter, right? But it becomes a harder sell when we know the gamesmanship and the little strategies, and Canelo is giving people late notice. So I would suggest he don't fight on September 12th. One, you got to go against Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. with Jake Paul and Nate Robinson. And two, you got to make people believe that the guy has a chance. That's boxing. If people believe that the guy has no chance, that's going to be a harder fight to sell. So if Canelo keeps having these weight stipulations and, catch weights and weird stuff and rehydration clauses and same day weigh-ins plus quick turnarounds and all these little games and stuff, it's going to be hard to give the full credit for those performances, and that's just what it is. So 34 days, we'll see what's decided. It's looking grim for that date. Remember who said it first? I told y'all. We'll see. It's either going to be me wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll come up here. I don't think I'm going to be wrong. I'll come on here, right or wrong. You're going to hear from me. Don't worry about that. I don't duck or dodge and hide from it. If I said it, I meant it. And I told you Canelo was going to come off that date. So we'll see. Let's see if he doesn't fight September 12th, you'll hear from me. If he does decide, then you'll hear from me. I'll say I was wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be wrong. It's looking pretty bad. And it's just like, where's Eddie Hearn? And, he was saying all this boastful stuff about and gloating about DAZN and American Takeover. Where is it? Because you're damaging Canelo's rep in America, the whole DAZN app. Ever since he's been on there, put it this way. Here's a quick indication, and I'll leave you guys with this thought. Canelo was doing on his bigger fights, he was doing 1 million plus with Danny Jacobs. He's never done 1 million paid subscribers on DAZN. And they haven't come out and outright gave all the numbers, but the indications are there, because if he had done 1 million, then that would be a huge win for DAZN. So they would have said it. Instead, they have trickery like, oh, Canelo has done 1.8 million across 8-9 markets and concurrent viewership. They put all this like technical jargon and schematics in there to try to make it look like he's doing numbers. But we could tell he's not doing the same numbers. You could tell by the crowd turnout when there were crowds. You could tell by how many people, are watching and interested in his fights in comment sections and stuff. Like the Kovalev fight, Canelo's last couple of fights didn't even feel like Canelo fights. The Jacobs fight included. That was a unification, so I'm not mad at the fight happening. But when fight week rolled around, crowds were still around, and it still didn't feel like a big, huge event. Like when Floyd, even if he was fighting Maidana or Berto, it still felt like a Floyd fight. Canelo's losing that allure and that feeling, I'm telling you. And people got mad when I said it, but I'm just here to speak the truth. Like I said, I think Canelo's a good guy, but 34 days, we'll see what happens. And it's gonna be probably bad, because DAZN wants him to take a pay cut. They're not approving certain opponents. He probably doesn't want to fight certain opponent, So it's just a lot of different personalities and too many hands in the cookie jar. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more sports. Get unlimited access to premium content with an ESPN Plus subscription. ESPN Plus offers a variety of content, including specials, behind the scenes, docuseries like Bruce Lee's Be Water, and much more. With an ESPN Plus subscription, you get access to a ton of classic archive fights and replays from boxing and the UFC. Big names like, hi, I'm Mike Tyson, come and watch my fight. Floyd Mayweather, easy work, I'm rich. And Manny Pacquiao, yes, it's up to my promoter, just to name a few. If that's not enough, you could get the ESPN bundle, which includes ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. All 3 apps, one low price. You don't want to miss out. Make sure you guys click that link in the description box of all of my videos. Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.